Nope. All right, it's Tuesday. So we're looking for finding the x and y intercepts from standard form. We're on day 2. You guys at home will have, of course, it's a virtual day tomorrow. You here in class, I gave you tomorrow's work. You get it done today? Hoorah. If you don't, then just do it tomorrow. But here we go. So what we're going to do is that we know at the x-intercept, we have the x value, but at the x-intercept, we're going to have a y value of 0. And at the y-intercept, so this is the x-inter, and this is the y-inter, you're going to have a 0 at the x position. So what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and find the x first. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 0 in for, and I can do it better this way, you're going to replace or substitute the y for 0 because the x-intercept, the y is 0. That means that all of this, negative 2 times 0, is 0. So we're just left with x equals negative 8. And that's our x-intercept right there. That's what we needed. We needed that x-intercept. So what did I do to find the x-intercept? I put a 0 in for y. I substituted 0 in for y. Negative 2 times 0 is 0 or gone. I'm just left with x. I know you could have put a 1 here, and that's fine. If you want to divide by 1, you're still going to end up with x equals, that's a big equals, x equals negative 8. Now what we need to do is redo that. So, and I'll go ahead and put the 1 there because I know some of you are used to that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to solve for y, or the y-intercept. So now at that point, the x becomes 0. So we're going to do 1 where the y is 0. We're going to do 1 where the x is 0 because that's what we get the intercepts. Well, that makes all of this gone. So what we're left with is negative 2y. I know I didn't put my lines in here. Negative 2y equals negative 8. And then we just go to the front of it and we divide by the number in front of the y, which is negative 2. Our opposite operations, negative 2 divided by negative 2, is 1. 1 times y is just y, or they're just gone. Then we're going to do the math here. Negative 8 divided by negative 2, which is 4. So this is our x-intercept. This is our y-intercept. How do we do that? To find the x, you put y as 0. To find the y, you put the x as 0. We'll do it again a few more times. You guys at home should be pausing this and taking notes. You guys here, I can give you these notes when I'm finished. So what I would do on your paper, because you do have a gap on each side of your paper to do this, I would just rewrite the problem again. Go ahead and draw your line. If you want, some of you, you can go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to do the x-intercept, so I'm going to make my y a 0. And you notice all I did is replace or substitute the y with a 0. Where does that come from? Because we know that at the x-intercept, y is 0. At the y-intercept, the x is 0. So then I'm going to do the same thing over here, except I'm going to replace. And I'm doing this so that you can see. If I'm finding my x, I have the x. X equals, that's my x-intercept. So y is 0. If I'm looking for my y, I'll end up with y equals. That means that at the y-intercept, my x is 0. I just need to understand that. So let's stay over here. And these are really nice and easy because this right here, negative 3 times 0 is 0 or gone. So what we're left with is 4x equals negative 9. And then what do? We hit that bottom there, we go right there, and we divide by the number in front of it. So we're crossing that 0 off because anything times 0 is 0, and that's gone. Because 4x plus 0 is 4x. That's where that comes from. Then divide by the number in front of the variable. Our opposite operations, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times x is x, or we say they're gone. Please don't use that word cancel because they don't cancel. It means totally different. -9 divided by 4. Well, if you use your calculators here, it's just -4/9. Please don't use a decimal. If it comes out as a decimal, put it back as an improper fraction. And if you can't reduce it, that's fine. If you don't have a good calculator, you can find some online that will do the reducing for you, but don't put it as a decimal. All right, so once again, we're looking for the y-intercept. At the x is 0. 4 times 0 is 0 or gone. That leaves us with -3y equals -9. And then what we do, obviously, this is, can you see the pattern here? Crossing off the 0, dividing by the number in front of it. That's ends up being your distribute, and then your last step, remove the extra variable in your 5-step sheet that I give you that's online in your reference or materials. The opposite operation is -3 divided by -3 is 1. 1 times y is y, or they simply just disappear. And then we're going to do the math here. -9 divided by -3 is 3. So our y-intercept is 3. Our x-intercept is -9/4. This is why we do it mathematically, because this line you would never be able to tell. It goes in between like 2, what do we got there? 2.1 something. It goes, it's just off the corner, so that's why we do it mathematically. All right, let's look at 3. Again, at home, I would suggest, just like this, you have that little extra space right here. That's where you should rewrite your problem over here, 5x plus 4y equals 0. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to find the x-intercept. So I'm going to replace or substitute the y for 0. What do we know about that? Well, we know that that will disappear. Why? 4 times 0 is 0. 5x plus 0 is just 5x. Just saying that mathematically. And then what do we have left here? To divide by the number in front of our variable. It's opposite operation. Since it's 5 times x, that's what that is. 5 times x, we're going to divide. That's the opposite operation. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times x is x. It just disappears. 0 divided by 5 is 0. Our x-intercept is 0. What do you think the y-intercept is going to be? All right. If we're going to find the y, we make the x a 0. The y-intercept x is 0. The 0 part of that, 5 times 0 is 0, or it's gone. And we are left with 4y equals 0. And then simply divide by the number in front of our variable. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times 1, or 1 times y is y. And 0 divided by 4 is 0. Both our x-intercept and our y-intercept are 0. What does that mean graph-wise? If these are our axes, our x and y axis, that means that the line is going through the center, the origin at 0. That's what that means. And we'll get into more graphing. That's actually what we're going to be doing next, I believe. I've been working on that. Might be a little different stuff at home than there is here at school, so sorry. All right. Again, rewrite it. X plus y -5. And Rome, I know you're going ahead. You might want to look at number 5 when I get to it, because that's a little different. That one might be confusing. We can put our little ones in front of here if we want to. That helps. I know a lot of us do that. We're going to find the x-intercept. So at the x-intercept, y is 0. And I know there's some cheat ways to do it. A lot of people just scribble out the y. A lot of people just scribble out the x. Those are the cheat ways to do it. But I want you to see it mathematically. I just don't want you to learn a process. I want you to know why you're doing what you're doing. So 1 times 0 is 0, or it's gone. We're left with 1x. and then we divide by the number in front. Our opposite operations, our ones are gone. And -5 divided by 1 is -5. Our x-intercept is -5 on this one. We're going to make now the x 0. That means that our 1 times 0 is gone. We're left now with just 1y equals -5. Go ahead and divide by 1. They are gone. -5 divided by 1 is -5. Now, the special one, and I wanted to do this one. If you look at number 5, I know some of you are still writing this down. I can give you this notes too. Look at number 5. This is a weird one because there's no y number. This is easy peasy, and there's another one of these on there. Guys, what's the x-intercept? -2. This is the x-intercept. If there is no, it's not quite the answer because there is a y equals. But if it's just an x and there's no y, what is y then? Nope. Nice try. Nice thought. Let's think about this. The x-axis, let's draw a chart, a graph here. Here's the x. Here's the y. And remember, if it's x only, and it's -2, here's 1, 2, there's -2, and there's no y, this line is going straight up and down like this. Take a look at it. It's going straight up and down. Does it ever cross the y? Does it cross the y? Anywhere? No. There is no y. There is no y-intercept. Now, what if it said this, and we're going to do a fictitious one here. Let's say this is number 18, because there isn't a number 18, and it said y equals 2. That's the y-intercept, right? What's the x-intercept? Think about it. If this one said x equals -2 and the x-intercept is -2 and the y is none, the y-intercept is 2, what do you think the x is going to be? None. Why, guys? Because here's y2. That line goes like this, and it goes directly parallel with the x-axis. It never touches it. So if it's x equals, the y is none. If it's y equals, the x is none. Okay? I think we write none or no solution, but I think it's none or no. So, all right, you have any questions? You're more than welcome to give me a email or message me, and we can get on Google Meet anytime. We can go over these. All right, remember tomorrow is e-learn day, but you still need to do what? Attendance. Make sure you're doing attendance. You guys here in class have to do attendance tomorrow too. All right.